This is Graham Linden speaking.
It's time for Passwords, the show that gives wonderful general statements you can use anywhere. And here's the host with all the best examples, Gillian Hyde.
Thank you. Hello and welcome to the show. How often do you hear people making general statements, saying things like Mondays are a drag, or Fridays are the best day of the week, or it always rains on the weekend? We hear those sort of things all the time, but how true are they really? Contestants are always late. No, here they are, the exception to every rule, Joe Kennedy and Philip Hannah. Oh, that's a lovely towel you're wearing, Joe. This is a health kit.
Joggers enjoy life and live longer.
And some joggers just do it to be groovy, like Phil.
A few joggers are thin and scrawny, Joe.
Well, this jogger's exhausted.
OK, well, let's go then. A good game's a fast game. First of all, have a look at those objects. Now, we'll start with a warm-up, as all good athletes do. Philip, can you show me the difference between a specific statement and a general one?
Of course. This tennis racket is a bit chipped and worn. That is a specific statement. Tennis rackets aren't used for playing squash. That is a general statement.
Good, Philip. You've given us the specific features of that particular racket and also a general statement about all rackets. Great. Joe?
These jogging shoes are size 9, and that's a specific statement. And serious joggers never jog without proper shoes, a general.
Good, 1 point each.
Actually, I often jog without shoes, and I know some athletes who don't wear shoes.
Oh, that's right too, Philip. One exception can prove a generalisation wrong.
Like yours.
Joe, you said never. That's a bit of a problem with overgeneralising. But can you change your original statement to allow for Philip's exception?
How about joggers should usually wear proper shoes?
Good. By adding in another word, by qualifying that statement with the word usually, you've allowed for Philip's unique style of jogging. OK, let's get serious and on with the game. Locked into the board are some other words that qualify general statements. Let's see how you go, Phil.
OK. Most golfers use a putting iron when on the green. Some golfers are good enough to play for money. Few golfers actually make it to the big time and earn a living from playing golf.
Well done, Philip. 3 words on the board, and good use of the word few. It only applies to a small number of people, but it's a good word for generalising. Joe?
VFL players are usually very fit because it's a fast-moving game. Tennis players often throw their rackets around the court when they lose because they're usually very bad-tempered.
Or silly.
Silly. And people sometimes wear running shoes to be groovy, don't they, Phil?
Oh, fine, Joe. 3 points there. Philip?
I will have you know that this muscle and this muscle proves that I am fit and not just being groovy.
Which muscle?
Well, Phil, we can understand why you're so proud of that muscle, but that's a specific statement and not a general one.
OK, I am generally fit.
OK, we'll generally believe you. Joe?
Aussie rules football will probably become more successful in New South Wales because of the popularity of the Sydney Swans, I reckon, anyway. And soccer may gain fans through publicity too.
Good, Joe. 2 points there for probably and may. Great. You see, without these qualifying words, most of those general statements would be so general that it would be very easy to prove them wrong with an exception. A good round, and at the end of that round, Joe is leading Philip 7 points to 5. But it's still anyone's game. Who knows what'll happen? Stick around, we'll be back in a moment.
Do your clothes tend to look dull and lifeless after a wash? New Spring Liquid puts the bounce back. All you need is a cupful. With some stains, you may have to rub it on direct, but most clothes zap into life with New Spring. This shirt, for instance, really came back to life. It's undoubtedly the most effective liquid ever made. Spring's secret formula makes clothes look good. A lot of people ask if it's more expensive. It's probably only a few cents more than the brand you're using now. Spring, the best thing ever invented for washing.
Welcome back to round two. Now, we want to see how you can support a generalisation with relevant examples. On the board here, we've got some pictures of Australian sporting stars, and behind the pictures are words and phrases most often used to let people know that you're giving an example. Jo, you know how the game goes. Would you like to choose a star?
Robert De Costello, the marathon runner, please.
Deke, here you go. Such as?
Runners such as Robert De Costello need to train regularly.
Good, Jo, yes, that's the idea. Philip?
Flip Tracy Wickham for me, please.
I'd love to. There you go. Including?
Australia has traditionally done well at swimming. Tracy Wickham set 5 world records in her career, including a dramatic finish in the 1500 metres freestyle.
Oh, great. Philip, your example makes a very punchy sentence. Jo?
Grant Kenny, the hairy man, please.
The Iron Man. Which includes?
Grant Kenny, when he was only 16, won both the senior and junior Ironman competition, which includes tough
Paddling.
tough paddling in the surf ski and swimming.
Good. Obviously been following his career very closely. Philip?
Very closely. I'd like the Mean Machine or the swimmers there.
Oh, quite a swimming fan, Phil. For example?
Okay, team spirit can really help in sport. For example, these swimmers in the 1982 Commonwealth Games, known as the Mean Machine, swam together to win a gold medal.
A very detailed example there from our walking encyclopedia. Jo?
Jeff Fennick, please.
Jeff Fennick, yes. Like?
Australia has had success with boxing champions like Lionel Rose, Jeff Fennick.
Yes, indeed. Philip, are you a devotee of pugilism?
Certainly, and if I knew what it was, I'd probably be more so. I'd like Yvonne Cawley, thank you.
Yvonne Cawley, of course, remembered by many Australians as Yvonne Goolagong. Illustrates.
Okay, tennis players can maintain their fitness. Yvonne Cawley illustrates this by winning at Wimbledon 9 years apart.
Yes, indeed. Jo?
Lisa Curry, thanks.
Where is she? Down here. E.g., which is, of course, the written abbreviation for the words for example.
Australian female sports stars have often been swimmers. For example, Lisa Curry, Tracy Wickham, Shane Gould, Dawn Fraser.
Right, time's up, Jo, although I'm sure you could go on and on with that list. We'll just have a quick look at the remaining 2 boxes. Ray Price, Philip, unless I'm much mistaken.
Rugby league, yep.
As in. And, of course, 4 of the principal dancers from the Australian Ballet. For instance, what a good round. And at the end of the round, Jo is still firmly ahead.
Yay.
But who can tell what'll happen next? Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Every home needs a copy of the Space Age Encyclopedia. All the marvels of science are here. Telescopes tracking the exploration of space. Be amazed by the dramatic advances in medicine. New hopes for life with the miracle of transplants. Be thrilled by every wonder of the animal kingdom. Ancient creatures like the frill-neck lizard, the funnel-web spider and its deadly bite, and uniquely Australian marsupials. Ponder at the possible world of the future. Will there be space colonies? All these things are in the encyclopedia. It's a must for every home.
Oh, I dropped him. I've had enough. I'm all dressed up and he turns up in shorts.
I'm not surprised. Most guys are sloppy dressers.
They don't have a clue about being polite or how to treat a girl.
Yeah, and most of them don't have any manners. They're only after one thing.
Yeah, that's for sure. None of them understand us.
I know. Well, what about when you get to a party? They usually leave you and go off with one of their mates.
Oh, they make you feel so uncomfortable.
And they're such babies too. Jeff hurt his finger the other day. It was just a scratch, and he complained all day about it. I'm glad I told him where to go. Who needs them? All they bring is hassles.
And they're so selfish. Wayne took me to the beach on the weekend, leaves me, goes off body surfing, and I'm left minding his board.
Well, why didn't you grab his board and go for a ride?
What do you take me for? Girls don't ride surfboards. What would people think if they saw me riding a board?
They reckon girls can do anything.
Well, we're back, as promised, with round 3. It's our Dear Doris segment. And our old mate, Mandy from Maroubra, has contacted us. She has another problem for our contestants to grapple with. The Live Eye camera's out there right now. Mandy, are you receiving us?
Oh, excuse me, Doris, but I just don't seem to be able to get these jeans done up. They fitted me last year. I'm so annoyed. I did step on the scales, you know, and weigh myself, and I have put on a tiny little bit of weight, but, well, fat people are meant to be happy people. So why aren't I happy? I eat all the right things. I try really hard. You know, I only eat the best meat, big, juicy steaks. Well, they're a very excellent form of protein. And I drink gallons and gallons of milk. Well, that's very good for your bones, you know, especially when you drink chocolate milkshakes. It's really good for your teeth, all that protein and calcium. And I eat my greens. Oh, I'm very health conscious. Yeah, I make sure I cook them for ages and ages so that I get rid of all the pesticides. Well, nearly all the pesticides. My mother says I'm skinny as a rake. You know what mothers are like. She's afraid I'm going to get the skinny disease, you know, the slimmer's disease. But I don't reckon I will. She's quite a big woman herself. But she says it's not the eating that puts on the weight. She reckons it's the older you become, the heavier you get. But I don't want to be buying a new pair of jeans every year. So expensive. I thought of exercise, you know. I thought that's the answer, if I can just get really fit. So I've been doing all these tummy things, you know, in and out, and I'm really firm there now. And I play squash, and, well, I played once anyway. I went down to the squash court, and I had a sauna afterwards, and that was great. I reckon I lost a bit of weight, but then I put it straight back on again a few days later. I've heard some people go on really extreme diets and just eat dry crackers for days and days and days. Doris, I couldn't do that. It's just so boring. What am I going to do? Help me.
Right, thanks, Mandy. Well, I can certainly relate to your problem. I don't think our panellists, though, have ever had any problems with excess flab. Maybe they can tell us how they do it. Phil?
Certainly, Mandy, I think we should look at the causes of your weight problem. Normally, a person eats just enough to maintain his or her weight, but many people put on more weight when they're worried. Something worrying you, perhaps, Mandy? Some people eat just from habit, so I should suggest that you should, in fact, alter the habit.
Bad habits there, Mandy? Joe, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'd like to look at what you're actually eating, Mandy. You can get good kilojoule charts like this to show you exactly how fattening different foods are. Now, you mentioned steak. Well, a big piece of steak is worth around 2,000 kilojoules. A glass of milk, 500, and a serving of greens, around 100. I think what you need is a good diet guide. But don't do anything radical. People may lose weight for a short period of time on crash diets, but they frequently put it back on when they go back to their normal eating habits.
Personally, I'm a fan of exercise to lose weight. You see, exercise wins where diets fail. Most exercise is good for you. I mean, for example, we have bushwalking, swimming, jogging. An hour a day keeps the flab away.
Well, studies have shown, Phil, that exercise plus diet is a successful way to lose weight. Many people exercise and then they wonder why they're not losing kilograms. Well, Mandy, I don't think that those tummy exercises will help much because you've got to exercise your whole body, you dill. Very few people can lose weight by exercise alone.
Yep, motivation is important. Just remember, most overweight people feel and look better after getting off that flab.
And overweight people may have various health problems too, like diabetes and heart attacks.
Phew, yes, there's certainly a worry. Well, Mandy, I hope the panel have proved helpful to you. You shouldn't be having too much trouble with those jeans anymore. If not, there's always skirts. Anyway, at the end of that round, Philip has caught up and in fact overtaken Joe and is in the lead. But don't go away, there's more coming up in just a minute.
Coming soon to this channel, furry cutler and the wonders of nature. This week, something we all take for granted, water.
Water is essential for nearly everything that man and nature does. It's the most common component of living matter. But this creek is an example of the problems facing our water supply in Australia. Its flow is unreliable. For instance, when I was here 3 months ago, there was a raging torrent. So the drought or flood. Some people think that damming rivers is the answer. But that could affect the ecology of an area. For example, the bird life breeding habitat might be upset. Much of what man does has an effect on the environment. Why do you think I'm boiling this water?
Everyone will see water in a different way after that program. And if you want to go bush for a holiday, and who doesn't, our economist will tell you what it costs.
With the high costs of overseas travel, many people are now looking within Australia for a place for their holidays. Some people like the comfort of hotels and motels. Prices vary widely according to location. For example, a double room at the Beachcomber Inn at Surfers Paradise costs about $100 a day, whereas places such as the old Wilhelmina Motor Inn at Broken Hill charge about $50 a day. For people with less to spend, there are a range of options. On-site vans can be good value. They generally cost between $12 and $30 a day. A few people really want to go bush. It's cheaper to be adventurous. For instance, tent sites in the national parks cost around $4 a night.
Recreation and leisure. Well, we all look forward to it, don't we? But it depends where you live, what you can do. We're going to take a look now at one outer Sydney suburb. But it could be any suburb in any large city, or in a country town even. What they have in common is isolation. So have a look at this, and have your pens poised for a quiz straight after.
People choose their leisure activities for many different reasons. For some, it's a case of how much money they've got. For others, it depends on how fit they are. But generally, it's a case of what's available in their area.
What kinds of sports are there available in this area for you to play?
Cricket, football, soccer, there's athletics, baseball, softball, tennis, hockey, and that's about all.
People living in Sydney's hot outer west can choose from several activities. But they're a bit restricted when it comes to water amusements. Most people living near the coast always visit the beach. But people living 40 kilometres inland have to find other ways to get wet. For example, they can go to the local swimming pool. But probably the closest thing to a day at the beach is this man-made oasis at Mount Druitt, the waterworks. Transport isn't a problem, it's next to the railway station, and about half the visitors come by train.
They come down here to enjoy themselves, to go on the rapid slide and the waterworks, just to have fun.
Now, what is it about the water slide that most people enjoy?
Oh, just to sort of going down the slide and that, some riding and that, just pretty good fun.
During school holidays, more than 2,000 people a day slip down the water slides. Most people who are physically fit and enjoy competition play sport. And people living in Sydney's outer west have a lot to choose from. Generally, many pick traditional sports. But in recent years, many have switched to other sports, and for different reasons. 10-pin bowling attracts both men and women. Another example of a fast-growing sport is indoor cricket. There are 3 centres in the Outer West catering for thousands of people every week, in summer and winter.
The attraction of indoor cricket is that the game is very fast, very enjoyable, and I find that you can make a lot of friends when you're doing the sport. It's great.
Well, everyone sort of plays indoor cricket. You've got solicitors, we've got solicitors teams, police teams, ambulance teams, and we've got fellas that are bricklayers coming with their teams, plumbers teams, you know, just anybody and everybody plays indoor cricket.
The Indoor Cricket Centre also has men and women playing netball. Traditional barriers between sports are being broken down.
Traditionally, it has been a sport for women, but we've broken the ice. We have our own state teams playing. We've had sent men's teams to New Zealand, to Melbourne. This year they're going to South Australia to play the men's state championships. The women are slowly coming to accept us. A lot of them already do. It's just the old diehards that you're still trying to convince.
How do you feel about playing in a mixed team like this?
I feel, it's pretty good. They're a bit rough, but they're okay. It's a fun game.
But not everyone plays sport. People always like to be entertained. For example, the entertainment provided in clubs. But people from other cultures often prefer the entertainment from their own culture.
Well, actually, it's part of being Lebanese. Lebanese people, when they go out, they like to dress themselves. They like to be proud of who they are and what they are.
Every old-fashioned country, I can tell you Turkish, Italian, Lebanese, Maltese, they're all the same. But maybe just Australians, Americans, they're the ones that's just so live in the 80s. But we still live in the 60s and, you know, we'll never...
Some of them do. Not all Australians.
I know most of them, that's all.
Young people in the Outer West often say there isn't enough entertainment. So, for many people, it's a case of making their own fun. For instance, some girls have banded together to form their own all-girl gang. They call themselves the Wanderers.
We're like a family. We're not like friends, we're more a family. And like, we always, all of our problems, we tell to each other, and you know, most of the times we can always solve each other's problems. Sometimes you can't, but you know, you try, and at least you know that you've tried.
Right, we're back with round 4. Philip and Joe, are you ready?
Yes.
You know how to play the blank game?
Certainly.
Right. According to what we've just seen, the most exciting place to get wet in Blacktown is blank. The most exciting place to get wet in Blacktown is blank. How are we going? Nearly finished?
Yep.
Philip, the most exciting place?
Is the swimming pool.
Well, you'd certainly get wet there, Philip, but is it the most exciting place? Joe, what have you got?
The waterworks.
That's the answer I'm looking for, the waterworks. Points for Joe. Next question.
Okay.
Blank is a new game gaining popularity.
Easy.
Blank is a new game gaining popularity.
No copying.
No copying. How are you going there? Ready, Joe? Let's have a look.
And it's squash.
Squash. Joe, squash has been around for years. Even I play squash. Philip.
Cavemen were playing squash. Indoor cricket.
That's what I'm looking for, indoor cricket. Well answered. Next question. Examples of sports at the recreation centre are squash and blank. Examples of sports at the recreation centre are squash and blank. OK, Joe, let's have a look at that. Squash and...
Swimming.
I'm not sure that you were listening very carefully, Joe. Philip,
I'm
squash
sure she
and...
wasn't. Well, 10-pin bowling,
10-pin bowling, that's the one.
Ooh.
Strike out there, Joe.
Indeed.
The kind of recreation you choose depends on blank. The kind of recreation you choose depends on blank. How are we going? Nearly finished?
Yep, I've
Let's
finished.
have a look. Philip, it depends on...
Where you live.
It certainly does. And Joe, the
Money.
And money as well. Yes, I'm sure that has some bearing on it. I'll pay you both for that. And so, Philip takes the game for today. But only by the 1 point, Philip. And next time, who knows? But now it's over to you. Coming up is a family scene. And I wonder if you've ever been in a situation like this one.
What are you going to do next weekend? Go to the museum? Well, let's hope they've got something to
You're late.
entertain you like
The chain on my bike broke. Probably cost heaps for a new one.
Must have been too rough with it.
Nah, they make them with really cheap metal and stuff. Happens to everyone. Just another way to rip you off.
Look at your shirt. I can never understand how you always manage to come home looking such a mess. I'll never get that out.
Yeah, I tried to fix it.
Go and take it straight off and I'll put it into soap. And wash your hands before you put clean things on. Look, boys. You're late.
Yeah, I stopped in at Sally's and went home. Is it okay if she comes around tomorrow afternoon? We're doing a project together.
I suppose so. What's it on, huh?
The decade of women.
Oh, when's that?
It's just finished. Would it be okay if I go around to Sally's after dinner to start on it? We've only got a week and it goes towards assessment.
I suppose that's okay.
What's for tea?
Spaghetti. How would you get there?
We always have spaghetti.
Could you drive me? Her dad's at work tonight and he's got the car.
What am I going to eat?
Just wait.
I suppose so. I've got to meet Tony at 7:30 down at Westworld.
What? When did you ask if you'd do all this?
Last week. You remember?
That was for Saturday, during the day.
Tony couldn't make it Saturday. He's got a job at McDonald's. He makes us chips.
You're not going out tonight.
Why not?
Because tomorrow's a school day and you're not going all the way down to Westworld at night on your own.
I wouldn't be on my own. Tony'd be there.
The whole school knows Tony Fermi is a little criminal.
Yeah, well, at least we don't sneak snakes behind the toilets like you and Sally Dogface McCarthy.
That's bull.
It is not. Ask anyone.
Mum, the little jerk's just making it up.
Cut it out or both of you will be staying right here. I'm sick of you fighting all the time.
How come Angela's allowed to go out?
Angela's older than you.
Not that much. It's not fair. I'm 15 and you treat me like a kid. It's like being in jail.
Stop carrying on. In my day, children were never allowed out at night on their own, not even on weekends. They did as they were told and they accepted it.
Mum, kids are a lot older these days now.
Yeah, even Tony's parents let him go out and they're Italian.
So?
I don't care. If Tony's parents come from Timbuktu, you're not going out.
Please, Mum, all the other guys will be there. I know how to look after myself.
Don't give us that again.
It's true, boys are stronger than girls.
The biggest muscle you've got is in your head. Mum, he's going to hit me.
Stop running in the house. If you don't behave, neither of you will go anywhere.
Mum, he's throwing things at me.
Ben, stop it.
She asked for it.
All right, that's it. Nobody goes anywhere.
But I wasn't doing anything.
I wish I had Tony's parents instead of you.
You just think of yourselves the whole time. If you started acting your ages, you might get treated like adults. You both think you're being treated badly now, don't you? Well, don't you?
Remind you of anyone you know? Well, fair or unfair? Should girls be treated the same way as boys in a family? Or should there be different rules for each? And does age make a difference? What do you think? Bye-bye. We'll see you next time.
That's it for today. Every Password show brings new surprises, and today was no exception. Phil and Joe always seem to enjoy themselves. For example, Joe loved flinging that tennis racket around when she was generalizing. And Phil does crazy things too. Our happy housewife had a washing liquid to deal with every stain. I'm sure few people could resist the promotion for the encyclopedia, and many people will buy a copy. Tune in again at the same time next week for Passwords. This is Graham Linden speaking.